together, let's innovate. So let's learn together, let's innovate. In the world of AI, it's never too late. Unlock potential, don't underestimate. AI education, let's celebrate.
Hey y'all, welcome to day 2 of stream 3 at this year's very exciting week of AI. I'm Christy and I'm thrilled to be your host today alongside Farmer Fobbs. We are here to take a dive deep into the transformative world of AI education.
That's right, Christy, and a huge shout out to Swivel for being a platinum sponsor. Additionally, let's hear for tonight's sponsor, Quizzes, which they just had an amazing presentation on all the AI features. Last but not least, our thanks to Brisk, the official t-shirt sponsor of the Week of AI. Remember, buying the Week of AI t-shirt or swag not only gets you a cool shirt, but also a free entry to the exclusive Brisk ISTE meetup. And what better way to do that? So get your swag and come see us at ISTE.
Or see me. I mean, you have to see Farmer Fobbs. Anyway, tonight we are exploring how AI is reshaping our classroom cultures, making learning more engaging and inclusive. So let's get ready for a series of insightful discussions. So to kick things off tonight, we have James Abela, a pioneer in computing education, joining us from Kuala Lumpur. Since '98, James has been at the forefront of integrating technology into education, ensuring that our students have well-equipped for the future. And forgive me, this Alabama girl stumbled over a few of those words. I apologize. If you want to correct my pronunciation of those places, please feel free, sir.
Yeah, well, it is Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, but you got it pretty close, so it's good enough. And we are literally the opposite end of the world. So it's 6:30 p.m. there, and it's 6:30 a.m. here. So a nice early morning, and welcome to any of us joining from Asia. Good morning to you, and good evening to everybody in the Americas, and I think good afternoon. No, probably good night for those in the UK. So let's have a little think and start to talk about our main subject, which is parenting and teaching in the age of AI, because AI is scary. If even Yuval Noah is unhappy, and he's the man who's normally into futurology, is telling us that actually, I don't know what's going to happen in the next 20 years. And I probably agree with that to some extent. We probably don't know what's happening in the 20 years, but in the 10-year cycle, there generally are very few surprises in computer science because there's a long lead time. And if you understand your computing, you will not have been surprised by any of the things that have happened in the last 12 to 18 months, because they've been on the boil for at least as long as I've been involved with coding and computing and in the industry. And that's, well, let's not give my age away too much, but let's say that's well over 20 years. And so I wrote this book, which is available on Amazon. It's free if you're a subscriber, but obviously it's not an expensive book. It's just a classic Kindle. But I wanted to write it because I get a lot of questions. And by a lot of questions, I mean a lot of questions, because I'm seen as the only person who's likely to know these things in my school and to some extent in my city. And so what we're going to have a quick look at is the current state of technology, the tech expertise to create a better learning environment, and equipping students with timeless skills. Now, I'm using an 80-20 rule on this. I'm assuming that 80% of you for this presentation are teachers, but please do hit that chat, ask those questions. We've got two wonderful co-hosts, and they are both wonderful, despite what you just heard. So please do pop into the chat, ask your questions, and go for it. And if you're watching this later, do the usual, pop it into LinkedIn and Twitter and keep that discussion going. And so really, I want to reassure people that preparing students to adapt to future technology, there are some core skills that actually haven't changed a lot in the last 100 years. We also want to talk about AI dangers, and I'm taking this from a teacher perspective, because I think it's really important to reach out to this perspective. Obviously, if you're a parent, I think you'll want your teachers to know this stuff. And just selecting some effective learning tools. We've mentioned a couple already. Quizzes are our sponsor, and I use that on a very regular basis. And the AI functions are absolutely fantastic that we've had in the last couple of months. And so when it comes to preparing students to adapt to future technology, you're about to get some shockers, okay? Surprise, surprise, if you haven't been tuning into Week of AI already, that technology is already here. That song you just heard, fully AI generated. I'm sorry to disappoint you, and I'm sorry about that singer, but that singer was a computer. And, you know, right now I'm using AI to generate subtitles, to generate the images, and these are all real websites. DoMyAssignments.ai, Marking.ai, Diffit for teachers, very powerful resources. And the first two do exactly what they say on the tin. Diffit is designed as a teacher resource development tool. So these are things that will do it. And they'll do it to a decent-ish standard. I would say most 14-year-olds could get away with something from Do My Assignments. And let's be honest, there is no technology that can tell AI apart from a learner, especially if that learner is not English as a native language, because the AI got taught in the same way as a non-native speaker gets taught English. So these are quite dangerous times, and we don't want to adapt. We don't want to keep our head in the sand. And it turns out ostriches don't do that, but it didn't stop the AI from making that picture anyway. And so back in the old days, in the very early 2000s, it used to take me 3 days to write a professional subject for ARM. You may not know who ARM are, but if you have a mobile phone, you have an ARM chip inside it, whether it is iPhone or it is Android. There is an ARM chip in it, and there are millions of ARM chips. If you have the latest range of MacBooks, again, ARM. Windows are trying to make ARM chips, and they are everywhere, and they were everywhere when I was doing it in 2000. You remember the Nokias? Also ARM chips. And so, yes, I did spend a lot of time testing these forms. Now, of course, I can do it in 10 minutes with Google. And let's be honest, the AI will even suggest the questions for me half the time. So technology's always moved quickly. That hasn't changed. And just to let you know, if you're in the US, yeah, it's plus 1 year because you start a year later and you go to 12 rather than 13 as you do in the UK. So plus 1 if you're in the US and Australia, which I assume most of you are at. But it gives you an idea that a lot of the students aren't going to finish until well into the 2030s, those younger students. And if that's the case, what should we concentrate on? Well, for me, these are the 3 things that are super important. And Sam Altman yesterday just confirmed it. He listened to my advice. He's obviously been reading my book, and he went on it. Yes, we do need that logical computational thinking. Coding for coding's sake is a bit like, well, we've got a calculator, so we don't need to learn maths. No, we still need to learn that coding, that logical thinking, so that actually we can effectively use the AI and not randomly make stuff that we don't understand and we don't know what results are going to come out the other end. But most of all, we need resilience and that ability to keep on trying, to keep on learning, to keep on having a go. That is super important and really important for this generation who have suffered variously under COVID. And certainly in our neck of the woods, there have been very serious lockdowns. And so kids have been not socialized for 2 years in a lot of cases. And literacy. And when I say literacy, I'm not after AI literacy or anything complicated. The ability to read is still super, super important. That is the key thing, right? Without that, you can't unlock anything else. If you can read a book, you can learn anything. And if you can read the internet, you can learn anything and everything. And then you do need to learn how to be a bit more selective and discerning about what you learn. But that basic building block is so important for everything else. And so looking at the younger years, I would say this is going down to even younger than school in a lot of cases, but we see this throughout school, right? we see these stages throughout school, and these are the social skills that we really want people to have. And I know I'm a computer science teacher and I'm teaching social skills, but I see it at all levels. Unoccupied play, just playing, seeing what the world is. There's nothing wrong with imagining, and that's a great way, and that's how everybody starts learning. Solitary play, playing by yourself, doing fun things by yourself. Again, not saying you shouldn't have solitary play. When you want to solve a puzzle or do something, sometimes the smartest way is just to do it in your brain and think about things. But those are the basic skills in terms of socialization. Then we have onlooker play. So that's about observing. And don't we wish more of our heads of faculty and our people who are in charge of education actually went into classrooms and did a bit of onlooker play? I mean, I'm not talking for everybody, but I know that in the UK, we all wish that our politicians got involved and actually went into classrooms. They got plenty of holidays. They could be in there teaching, looking in classrooms. And so, yeah, onlooker play, observing, seeing where we go. And then parallel play. So you're doing the same as another student. You're following them a lot. And we do that a lot in coding, to be honest. It's the cast, follow me, follow this. But that's not the end. And if you're somebody who used to have to write off a chalkboard, okay, I've maybe giving my age away a bit here. Whiteboard, electronic whiteboard, maybe. Okay, honest, it was a chalkboard in my case. If you're just copying down from a chalkboard, you're basically just following along, and that's not great for your thinking. Associative play, when you're actually communicating and talking to each other and learning from each other, very powerful. We talk a lot about Vygotsky and how you have so much better learning when you're learning from each other and other sources. And then finally, the ultimate, cooperative play. Now, I don't know about other countries, but kind of wish politicians in particular learned how to do cooperative play, because I think that would make the world a lot better. And so when we look at this, there's a great piece of thing called Skill Shift and Automation in the Future. It's done by the US organization McKinsey. They have had a tough time for various reasons, but they generally do employ quite smart people, and this is their bread and butter. So I'm going to say they're backed up by plenty of other people on this one. Okay, so despite any recent comedy shows you may have seen and their penchant for getting rid of people, I would say they're on the money here, roughly speaking. So don't take this with a pinch of salt, but I think the direction of travel is right, even if the percentages are a little bit hyped in some ways. Physical and manual is going to go down 14%. Now, I live near Thailand. I've seen somebody literally waving a flag, and I'm thinking it wouldn't take much of a motor to replace that person. But unfortunately, labor is cheap. Okay, in many parts of the world, labor is cheap, except for Nordic parts of Europe, where that figure is going to be much lower because they haven't got the people and the capacity, and people are cheap. But yeah, where people are cheap, there's still going to be physical and manual. So even though physical and manual might not look like it's going away, honestly, there's no money to be made there. Basic cognitive is going to go down and higher cognitive is going to go up. Now, in England, we have this saying about moving the goalposts. I don't know if that works in American football or not, but basically keep on moving things forward. When I was a kid, you could probably get away without a degree for a job. Now, jobs that didn't require a degree require a degree, because that's like the basic level you need to get a job. And it just keeps on marching. You've got to have higher and higher demands in terms of the brain power required to do a good job. Social and emotional going up. One of my students said to me, there's good news and what's the good news? He says, well, no, I meant there's good news and there's bad news. And I said, oh, so what is it? Well, teachers aren't going to be unemployed anytime soon. That is the good news and the bad news. Same for things like social workers. Anything which requires real emotional connection to people is something that's likely to hang around for a long time, until AI is basically ready to take all of our jobs and everything else under the sun, which I reckon is in 20 to 30 years if things keep on going. But then people will still want to do things. There are plenty of jobs out there, like making Ferraris, that aren't absolutely required in life, but they're still nice to have. and hopefully AI makes our lives better. And you're not surprised to hear this, technological plus 55%. What a shock there. A computer science teacher telling you there's going to be way more computer science. And so I've talked a little bit about this, but I just want to leave that slide up there for a second. Teachers, social workers, nurses, it's all about relationships. Nurses, yes. Doctors, up for debate, right? Because unless the doctor has the emotional skills of a nurse, their job is definitely up for grabs as medical diagnosis by AI gets better and better. And it's already showing it's outperforming humans in specialized tasks. Things like radiologists, they barely exist anymore. But let's get back to the important point, the point that I really care about. Where are all these new jobs coming from? Oh, you'll be surprised to hear they're all in computing. But they are new jobs. And okay, the vast majority of them require a lot of programming, but there's two that don't require huge amounts of programming. AI ethicist and an ethics expert, debatable. Data detective, arguable. Data broker, which is basically a salesperson. So those jobs don't require you to program all day, but of course it would be a huge advantage if you knew what the AI was up to. And I think that's true of the next 20 years. Knowing what an AI does is going to be super important, and understanding the concepts behind it, just like understanding what you're reading, very, very important stuff. And this is my only Malaysia reference. On the right is our Prime Minister. He's actually very well respected in Malaysia. And he told us the three things at the conference I was at the other day: love of learning, growth mindset, and risk taking. Any of you here who are international baccalaureate will recognize those words. And I know it's a big feature of ISTE as well. So big shout out to ISTE for those. They're quite well in the words. And as I say, this was literally what the Prime Minister was talking about, Prime Minister of Malaysia. He had Microsoft over last week. Google was there as well. So we're really powering the data centers. And guess what? Your gaming you're not going to believe this, but your gaming computer in Malaysia is tax-free. If that's not an incentive to come here, I don't know what is. And there are risks of AI to student learning. About 6 months ago, Replit, I used to have these challenges, and before AI, no problem. Then Replit came along, put AI into it. Not only did it have good answers, it had my answers. I mean, that's really not fair. I mean, the source of it was literally my answers, so I couldn't really argue with the students. And so that's a real problem. And of course, the likes of ChatGPT, it's getting better and better. And the new version that came out yesterday, that's another big step forward. It can now actually do maths. And we were fairly confident on that one. So it keeps on going. And really what it means is that independent work can only be low stakes. You need to assess in class, which for Cambridge University, they came up with a simpler solution. Let's all go back to old-fashioned exams. Another problem solved. It is a solution. It's not the solution I want, but it is a solution. And so I'm just going to talk about the danger of AI automating teacher tasks. Teachers, number one profession, first, the best, the most excellent. When it comes to AI, we are number one. You can't ask for better than that. Independent, doing it all by ourselves. No help from, never any help from management. Let's not kid ourselves. Help write reports and other administrative tasks such as writing emails. So, we are the best. Unfortunately, in the US, 32 million student records have been leaked. And so the way that teachers use AI really needs to think about the data security of the students, because let's be honest, we're handing it over to ChatGPT and others, and their aim is not really data security unless it's being paid for. Leaking data, there's no assessment data and resources for school, right? It's very easy to put information into a system, but if you're not paying for it, the data is, quizzes very generously give us a free tier. The price of that free tier is all the questions now belong to quizzes, so they can make even better questions and, of course, give the data to their paying customers. So it's a great way of collecting great questions and then giving it to the people who are paying. And of course, teachers are losing time if you don't use it. And so I think it's really important to engage data safety training. I know that the Texas TCEA produced an excellent course on computer safety, and they're doing quite a lot of AI. Disclosure, I also done 3 courses TCA, Python, Swift, and Scratch. So if you fancy those, they are paid for, but they're in your own time, and they do give you professional development credits. I'm not sure where, but definitely valid in Texas. I think available in all states, but I'm not sure if it's like banking. And you've got to make sure you choose an AI with a safe harbor. So something that you know has the security. So something like quizzes, you know that is stored in the security. And I've done a recent investigation into them, and they've got all the accreditations you could ever ask for. So powerful tool there. And you know that the data and the student data is going to be kept quite safe. And so when we're selecting effective learning tools, really take advantage. You're in the week of AI. Ask the questions. You've got a personal learning network right here, ready to go. Magic School, they're saying it's a great admin tool. They're saying the student side is expanding. I reckon the next 12 to 18 months, it's probably going to be read there. There's School AI, Chatbot Tutor. We've got CS Bot. This one is coming from Harvard. They're trustworthy. And to be honest, it's Microsoft powering that one behind the scenes, and they're using GitHub, which, you know what, if they try to hack that, they might find the hackers turn their back on them and give them a hard time. Sponsors Brisk Teaching, Diffit, many Google extensions. These are all amazing tools, and they're all very helpful. I suggest you give them all a try. When we talk about bigger things like learning management systems, it's a little bit further behind, but I know Amazi is being built from the ground up with AI. It's getting there. It's going to take time. There's an amazing new set of products coming out of UCL, which is the University College of London. Moodle's getting AI tools. Canvas is getting AI tools. Canva already has them and is being extensively used for this. These videos are amazing that are coming out of Canva, and websites and everything else. So very powerful stuff, really, really helpful. And this is what people are recommending to me. I've been playing with most of them. I've used Diffit quite a lot, and obviously I used SOSBot a lot, you know. And the other one that's been fantastic is the Microsoft Reading Progress Tool. Great in a quiet environment. I'm not sure how well it works in a noisy classroom. Then I'm afraid it's down to the quality of your microphones, which, you know, is definitely up for question there. But I think if you set it for homework and you have fairly able parents, or you have a one-to-one device system, that's great. Or you can just take kids away and do it that way. There are many ways to do it, but you do need a slightly quieter environment or a microphone that's targeted at those students. So, you know, these are things to think about. However, it's not all good news. There is a site called Killed by Google, and I'm afraid a lot of these AI sites, not the ones I particularly mentioned, but a lot of AI sites are going to die, are going to become chargeable, and larger systems take longer to read the benefits. So think about that in the back of your mind when you grab every last tool that's just appeared over 30 seconds. Look at those companies with good reputations like Quizzes that's been going for, I reckon, at least 8 years off the top of my head. I've certainly been using it for 8 years. So there are larger systems. They take longer to read the benefits. Mitigate the risks. Set up a network of advocates, either inside or outside your school. Find friends. And that's how I'm talking. I'm talking to people from the US, Australia, New Zealand. I'm talking to people from Europe. We're all trying to find together. Get that honest relationship going, because you don't want to hear about the salesman's pitch, because they'll tell you everything's amazing, even when really it isn't. And look at that diffusion of innovation model. But actually, in a fast changing environment like now, you want to go from the innovators to the laggards. Let those laggards raise every objection on the planet, because they're the right people to answer that. They're the right people to test it, to bulletproof your system before you invest massively in new technology. And let me just finish in my last 5 minutes by Robot Proof, which is a great book, but it feels a little bit quaint now, even though it was only written 7 years ago. But the idea is, the heart of it is right. You know, it's about feeling, it's about seeing, dreaming, making, learning. Now, I always give 5 minutes for questions. There are references which I will find a way to share. Yeah, just connect with me on LinkedIn or EaserWeb and I'll check in. Right, so what questions do we have? Any questions? Are we safe? Oh, yes, plenty. I only got one screen today, so I wasn't able to see what we're going through.
I did mention someone asked about Snorkel. Have you checked that one out, James? We'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
No, I haven't tried that one yet. It's that's not a tool I've tried yet. But I mean, all of these are amazing. The other thing I would say is when you see a new tool, see what's underneath it, because a lot of it's just ChatGPT underneath it, and then you just say, well, is that actually adding any value? So interesting. And what did you two think of it? While we see if there's any questions. We've got 3 minutes.
Oh, I thought there was so much enlightening stuff, and there were so many moments that I was like, yes, yes, I wish that is how the world worked. Yes.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, it is the way it could work, you know? And that's it. I mean, I think we've all got to do our bit. We've all got to be informed citizens, but we've also got to work and be good citizens to encourage things. And in a lot of cases, making people's lives better doesn't have to be controversial. It can be as simple as helping the people in your neighborhood.
James, what advice do you have for parents that aren't in education or aren't educators? And if they're not experiencing AI in the classroom, how do you think that parents could kind of get their students or get their kids into AI? You know, what do you suggest starting off with if they aren't educators?
I mean, honestly, the tools are so easily available, and literally having parents and kids sessions actually using the AI together is so powerful. So if you're a concerned parent, I would say you can start younger if you work on something together, you know. I think that's very, very powerful. But also for younger kids, I'll be honest with you, the skills of lifelong learning, of enjoying reading, of those basic skills, those are the skills you can focus on, you know. Resilience in many ways, whether it's team games, sports, getting kids to keep on trying, that's what's important. And obviously that there are lessons and systems and things that kids can play with. And if you're not technical yourself, you know, learn together as parents. Yeah, show that skill of resilience by trying to learn to code. And you know, the TCA course, for instance, that's available to parents as well as teachers. Scratch is very, very easy to pick up and has huge amounts of support and resources. And that's designed for kids to work. Once they can read, they can do it by themselves. They can do it with parents. We used to have a father and daughter day for Scratch, and I tell you what a bonding experience that was. So there are many ways you can facilitate it, even if you're not an amazing computer science teacher yourself. You can learn together, and then you can illustrate those skills of learning and improving and showing resilience.
And that's what I was thinking the entire time that you were talking about that and relating it back to reading. I was like, what great parent bonding time that you can spend with your child, and also, you know, learn something new and help them get ready for a future none of us really has any idea exactly what it's going to look like.
Yeah, and I think it's so powerful.
Dustin and Dustin Remy, he's one of the good ones. He's talking about he's gonna dive in with his kids during the little summer of AI, like at home, right? And he's gonna do a little coding, a little school AI, a little Snorkel. So I love to hear like educators aren't just like concerned with their kids, but also like wanting to explore during the summer to even just be like, hey, I'm going to try something out with my kids at home, and then I'm going to take it to the classroom. So love that. Thanks for sharing, Dustin.
Yeah, and I will say most of it doesn't matter which ones you use, but ChatGPT is the biggest and the most used, and Gemini too. They are different strengths for different languages. So Python has huge amounts of open source code, which means it has a really good database to start with when it comes to that kind of thing. And Replit may have caused me trouble, but in terms of its knowledge of helping people to code, it's a little too helpful, but it will help students to code. So if you are stuck, I would recommend ChatGPT and Replit. And if you're using Python, it's able to code all sorts. So yeah, that's it. Good. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time. Thank you, Christy and Farmer, for being amazing hosts. Yeah.
Thanks for an amazing session. Learned a lot.
Cheers. TCA is free to join this week, I believe. Yes. It's not normally free, but it is free this week. So be quick, I think. If I saw a free, there's normally a free offer once or twice a year. If you get really stuck, I'll have a word. But it's free if you buy a course anyway.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much for that. It was, I mean, I don't have children of my own, but it is always great to hear about.
And I did aim it more at the teachers for this one because I thought it was more of a teacher conference. So good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Thank you.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Let's get our outro.
Hello and welcome to the Premium AI Strategy Accelerator, the ultimate program for schools, colleges and universities and businesses that want to lead in the AI revolution. Before you apply, let me tell you how this program works. Who is this program for? We focus on helping a hand-picked team of 6 to 10 change makers in your organization. And this elite innovation squad will become your internal startup, pioneering AI-driven solutions that define your organization's future.